Okay. Good evening, everybody, or good morning. Hello, wherever you are. Thank you for joining this week's Monday Zen and Zazen class. Today, we're going to talk about the Fukan Zazengi Dogen's manual for Zazen again. But before that, let's sit together for half an hour.
我们前面还是30分钟坐禅，然后今天讲普劝坐禅仪。
Thank you for joining me for Zazen. Now I will say a few things about Dogen's Fukan Zazengi, and later if you want to ask questions or share something, please unmute yourself. Right now, or also during Zazen, it would be good if you could mute yourself. During Zazen, I have to unmute myself so you can hear the bell, but the rest of you, to reduce the amount of random noise, it would be good if you could check that you are in mute mode. Right now, I don't know who, but somebody I think is not muted. We can hear one of you, and we could hear you during Zazen as well. So maybe you could check if you're muted. Be that as it may, let me share the screen and let's have a look at Dogen Zenji's manual for Zazen. Can you see both parts, left and right? Right, you should see English, and left, there's a Chinese text. Can you see both? No. Then let's try again. Share screen. Now you can see only the English. Is that right? You can't see the Chinese anymore. Okay. That's not good either. Then let's try it like this. One more try. So this is the English text here that I want to talk about. Already last time I did this part. Once you have adjusted your posture, take a breath and exhale fully. Rock your body right and left and settle into steady, immovable sitting. Think of not thinking. Or think of not thinking. Not thinking. What kind of thinking is that? Letting thoughts go, or non-thinking. The Japanese here is hishiryo. You could also translate it as beyond thinking. This is the essential art of Zazen. And last time I talked about that the thoughts occurring in our mind during Zazen are like a merry-go-round. And some people think that they're supposed to stop that merry-go-round from turning during Zazen, but usually it doesn't stop. And the problem is not that thoughts occur, but the problem is that too often we sit in that merry-go-round. If during Zazen you watch that merry-go-round like from a mountaintop, you see, oh, there's thoughts occurring out of nothing, and they disappear into nothing. But you're not sitting in the merry-go-round. There's no problems with these thoughts. It's kind of like thinking occurring on the ground on the basis of not thinking. It's beyond thinking. You don't have to stop the thinking. But the problem is that before we realize we are sitting in that merry-go-round, so it's not only a thought coming up, like you remember what somebody told you yesterday, they said something to you. But usually the next thing is you think about, next time I meet that person, I will tell him that. But if I tell him that, he's gonna probably say this, but then I'm gonna say that. So you're completely forgetting your body, your breath. Your body is still sitting here and now, but your mind is somebody else. So that's what I mean by sitting in the merry-go-round. So that happens a lot of times. What can you do if that happens? Very easy, just return to the posture, return to the breath, and you're back in the here and now. Usually after a couple of minutes you realize I'm thinking. that realization already brings you back into that moment. And if you want to stay in the moment, stay with the body, stay with the breath. And I said last time, I want to look at an earlier version of this text that Dogen Zenji wrote. And actually, this part here, when he was 27 or so, there's a section here that's clearly different. And that's more or less a faithful copy of a Chinese Zazen manual that was authored about 100 years before Dogen lived. This part here in English would be like, if your posture has been adjusted, and also your breath is in tune, both the body and the breath are attuned, then the next thing here, that's the important part. If a thought occurs in your mind, you have to awaken to it. You should be aware of it. If thoughts come popping up, become aware of it. And once you become aware of it, let the thought go. Forget the thought. And if you continue that for a long stretch of time, then naturally you will forget all involvements and become one. And that's the art of Zazen. And that's the great gate to peace and happiness. And this part that when a thought comes up, become aware of it. And after becoming aware of it, let it go. For me, that sounds, well, much easier to understand than this just think of not thinking. How do you do that? It's beyond thinking. In a way, it's easier to understand, but there might be at least two problems with it. One problem is when you try to kind of observe your mind and see if thoughts are coming up there, it's almost like you're always playing the kind of hotel detective. You're always watching your mind from an outside perspective, looking on the monitors. Is anything happening right now in my mind? Am I thinking? Are there any emotions there? So you're always taking this kind of disattached position and you're pretending to be that neutral observer. But that only separates your mind or your consciousness from the body, while in Zen we try to connect them. The other problem is when thoughts come up in your mind and you're aware of that, you become aware of that, that's fine. But what's the next step? How do you let them go? If somebody tells you, once you realize you're thinking, let it go, how do you do that? You're supposed to forget about the thoughts. How do you do that? The more you think, I need to let go of that thought. I'm not supposed to think. Let's forget about the thoughts. They become stronger and stronger. It's impossible. The easiest thing to let go of thoughts is what I just said. Return straight to the body. Don't try to let them go. Don't try to forget about the thinking. Just return straight to the body. Just return to the breath. There's no need to let go of thoughts. It's impossible. So I think that's why Dogen Zenji erased this part. And this is what you're looking right now. Here's a part of my old Japanese blog that's now inactive. But at the bottom here, you also find the Chinese text that Dogen Zenji is quoting from. It's called, in Japanese, you would read that Zen and Shingi. And Cholo Sol Solyo, I think you read it, would be the Japanese reading. That's the author. He lived about 100 years before Dogen Zenji. Unfortunately, I don't have the real Chinese text. So here you have a Japanese kana in between, but maybe we have the time to look at the portion that I'm talking about. Here's also an interesting part where he's talking about the eyes. So in the official version that we have today in Japanese, Dogen Zenji just says, keep the eyes open. And in this Chinese version that Dogen Zenji is basing his text on, he says there was an old Dharma teacher, the name in Japanese would be Houn Ensu Zenji, and he said, don't shut your eyes during meditation, during Zazen. So he was scolding those who would shut their eyes and said, you are like demons that are dwelling in a black mountain. People that close their eyes during Zazen are like demons in black mountains. So we should follow that. Shinso sudeni saramali. And then he's in this text also says, when your body is adjusted and also the breath is adjusted. Next, make sure that your belt is not too close, so that your how do you say, the stuff that you wear, your clothes, you wear them loosely. Don't think about good or bad. That is also stuff that Dogen Zenji quotes in his text. And then this portion here. Nen okolaba sunawachi kakuseo. If a thought comes up, become aware of it. After becoming aware of it, let it go. And I said it's impossible. And also it leads to a separation between body and mind. You're constantly observing yourself, checking yourself, telling yourself, I'm thinking too much, I'm not supposed to think. But this text says if you continue to do this for a long time, then eventually you will become one. And that's the art of Zazen. Oh, sorry. Now I did something. Another thing that's interesting about this old Chinese text is the beginning. Dogen Zenji starts with the way originally is perfect. So what's the use of practicing and attaining enlightenment? Here the first sentence is people that try to achieve prajna, people that try to achieve wisdom, should first of all have great compassion and vow to save not only themselves through samadhi, but all living beings. Some people who practice Zen should vow to save all living beings with Zazen and not do it only for themselves. And it's interesting because Dogen Zenji also emphasizes this vow, this wish, a lot in his works, but not in the Fukan Zazengi. For some reason, he cut it out of the Fukan Zazengi, and I have the feeling that's because probably in Zazen it's okay to even forget that. To even forget that story of the Bodhisattva who tries to save all humanity. During Zazen, you can forget about humanity. But that's only my idea. And today I talked a lot. Sorry to Xuan-san. Please, if you like, translate. And after Xuan's translation, ask questions, share what you like.
老师刚才讲的特别多，我说个大概其的意思啊，可能我们这有一些同学可能英文还可以啊，我跟大家简单说一下。老师他其实一开始的时候呢，他还是讲了之前的那个内容，我找一下啊，就是他之前衔接了一下前面讲的，就是上次我们讲的坐禅的姿势嘛，然后讲到了呼吸，讲到坐禅之前要左右摇摆，然后深吸一口气。对吧？然后还讲到了我们要思考，不要思考。那什么是要思考，不要思考呢？这个就是坐禅的法门，对吧？我们上次讲到的是这个，然后然后老师说，那我们什么才是不要思考，就是要思考，不要思考，要你一直思考，不要思考呢？他说有的时候我们其实很多的时候呢，我们是在，好像你的思绪啊，就好像是坐在旋转木马上面一样， 不停在旋转，你坐在上面不停在旋转，有的时候其实已经是昨天谁说了什么话，但是你还是在旋转木马上面一直在想，而忘记了你现在的呼吸，忘记了你现在这个身体正在做的事情，一直不停的在旋转木马上面。那我们怎么？那我们当我们不自觉的像坐在了旋转木马上一样，应该怎么办呢？老师说，其实就是回到呼吸，回到你现在正在做的事情，意识到，其实你就回来了。也不用去想要停止旋转木马，也不用去想停止你的思绪。然后这是它其实是衔接了前面一下，后面他又接着讲，就是我看后面，他今天重点讲了是念起即觉，觉知即失，什么意思？就是说当你的意念就是你感觉到了你的思绪已经升起来的时候，你感觉到的时候，其实它已经过去了，它已经失去了，就不要再一直纠结在刚刚起的那个念上面。久久忘路自成一片，就是老师刚才说这句话其实是重点。然后老师刚才还讲到了，就是我看啊，对他，如果你经常这样练习的话，他说这个自成一片嘛，就是如果你经常这样练习的话，慢慢的就会回到你自己，就是让我们中文里面就是讲放手，让他去走，慢慢的你这样练习就会合一成一。那这个有两个问题，老师刚才提到，一个就是你可能会一直提醒自己，我要合一，我要唯一，我要有了念头之后放弃这个念头。当你一直有这个想法的时候，其实你就已经在玩这个游戏了。你应该连这个想法都不要有，就不要想要我要一直要控制。当你的思绪升起来的时候，要停止它。然后他说，如果你其实这句话它还有一个问题是，这是第一个，然后第二个就是，当你的念头想起来，当你的念头升起来的时候，然后你也意识到了，那你应该怎么办呢？然后怎么办呢？我知道了，能怎么样呢？老师说，其实你知道了就知道了。他的意思就是说，其实你知道就知道，只要回到你刚才的呼吸就可以了，根本就没有必要让你去放开这个想法，或者是停止这个想法。然后刚才老师还提到了另外一本书啊，就是也是我看我刚才看了百度里面有啊，就是我们待会儿下课可以查一下这本书，叫禅院清规里面也有坐禅仪，但是这个坐禅仪和这是中文的一个坐禅仪啊，是一个经文不，然后道元禅师的坐禅仪是他写的是日语的，就是他在参考这本书的时候，其实有些部分他给删去了。然后这本书里面其实里面有一个禅师啊，他叫法云圆通禅师。然后他在这里面讲到了一个关于眼睛的问题，就是眼睛是睁着还是闭着的。这本书里面这个禅师他就讲到，你在坐禅的时候应该是睁着眼睛的，不应该是闭着眼睛，因为你闭着眼睛，你就好像是在黑夜当中的魔鬼一样啊，就是魔鬼闭着眼睛。所以他说我们在坐禅的时候应该是保持睁着眼睛的。然后他也提到了，就是和昨天道元禅师里面一样的内容，比如说你穿的衣服，你的腰带呀，不要穿得太紧的衣服，还有腰带不要系得太紧，然后根本也是没有必要，就是没有什么是好的禅是好的还是不好的，不要想这些，你应该继续保持努力持续的这样练习下去，就会合一，就是其实和那个道元禅师的意思是一样的。然后他还提到了一个。道元禅师后来他在晚年的时候，其实对他的这篇经文进行了修改，有一部分内容被删掉了，其中有一部分就是他之前讲到了坐禅的意义，然后在晚年的时候呢，其实这部分内容被删掉了。然后就是坐禅是什么意义呢？我们是为了寻求智慧、增长智慧，还是为了什么呢？然后其实坐禅就是坐禅，不用想它是什么意义，你只要回归呼吸，然后意识到你现在其实就是已经是坐禅的意义，不用再追求什么。你已经在这条路上了，就不用在这条路上还要再追求另外一个路上，还要再追求另外一个目标，其实就没有意义。不要追求这个意义，大概是这个内容啊。
Thank you. We still have some time for questions. If there's something you would like to ask or share, please feel welcome to do so. Tanya is raising her hands.
Hi, Muho.
Hi.
Thank you for sitting in Zazen and for the interesting things you told us right now about the practice. So easy and so good to repeat it. And my question is, when I come back to the body and I don't like what I feel in the body in that moment, you
Yes.
know, like I'm hurting, or now I have the cold, or my body is like um, unruhig, you know, so
Yes.
nervous.
Yes.
And that's all things I don't like. I hate being nervous, and I feel nervous sometime during Zazen, and that's my question.
Well, it's really not so important if you like it or not. The nice thing about Zazen, about pain, nobody of us likes to be in pain. We hate to be in pain. We want to avoid pain, fight through the pain, or get away from the pain. But the nice thing about pain, it brings you back into the moment, into your real situation, especially if it's great pain. There's no way around it. You're facing yourself. And with other unpleasant feelings, it's the same. And in Zazen, if what you feel, if you like it or not, it really doesn't play a matter. Like for example, you hear some noises. If they're nice noises, or if you hate those noises, just hear the noises. Just feel these feelings that you have. You don't have to judge them. And even if you judge them and you say, "I don't like this," that's the reality of the moment. That's your Zazen in that moment. Some people also make the mistake to always judge their Zazen and say, today's Zazen was good. Today's Zazen was not so good. Yesterday was better. And you always have the feeling, my Zazen is only maybe 60 points, maybe 65. My Zazen is not so good. But there is no good Zazen except the Zazen you're doing right now. And the same with feelings. I mean, we never really feel super good, but it's not about feeling good, it's about feeling what you are right now. And even if it's a pain or if it's a cold or something, feel it. Feel it 100%. Go into it. And with the pain, I sometimes say, allow the pain to swallow you up. Usually, you try to resist the pain, fight through it, but allow the pain to swallow you. That happens usually not during this Monday Zazen because it's only 30 minutes. But if you
Mm.
sit a session 5 days, 7 days, sometimes that happens. The pain is so big, it swallows you up. But then there's no problem anymore because
Yeah,
you are in the belly of the pain, so to speak.
thank you.
Thank you. Somebody's writing a chat. What's so bad about thinking that we need to let it go? Can letting go of thoughts sometimes be escapism? Well, it's not bad to think you need to let go. It's just, it doesn't work that way. When you think, it's like thinking about that famous pink elephant. You tell yourself, not supposed to think about a pink elephant. Does it work? No. And it's the same with you tell yourself, I should let go. It's not bad because it's escapism. The only problem is it doesn't work. If you tell yourself to let go, you will think about the thing that you are supposed to let go. So rather than do this, connect with the body, connect with the breath, or in the case of Tanya's questions, even connect with the pain, the cold, what you don't like. Be in the reality of the moment. That's much easier way to let go of thoughts rather than telling yourselves, I need to let go of this or that. It doesn't work that way. Any other
Yeah,
questions?
there's a Chinese question. I think
Ah,
是
yes.
韩风叔叔提的吗？What you believe and what is the truth? What the difference between the how to say 信仰? What do you believe and the truth? What the difference between?
Between belief and truth. Well, people mean quite a lot of different things when they say belief or faith. Um, but, well, in my view, um, belief is, well, you believe something to be true, but you're not sure. So you suppose that for whatever reason. Maybe it helps you, maybe it gives you peace of mind, whatever. But truth is not, well, you suppose this to be, but it is. For example, well, in the case of Tanya's question, usually when we talk about truth, we think about something nice. We like truth. But pain, for example, is an example of truth. You don't believe that you're in pain. You are in pain. You don't have to believe that. There's no doubt about it. You drink a glass of water. You don't believe it's cold. It is cold when it's cold. You know that. So I see that kind of difference there.
大家能明白老师刚才说的大概其实什么意思吗？就是老师说，其实信仰跟真理，是不同的人有不同的看法。一般的情况下，我们认为你的信仰可能是一件特别美好的事情，但是真理真的事情不一定很美好的。就比如说，比如说你在做产，比如说你特别冷吧，你可能不相信它特别的冷，但是事实就是你非常冷，或者你非常痛苦。在做产还有什么？刚刚举了几个例子啊，我刚才没记笔记，我没记下来。就是老师举了几个例子，大概其实就是说，其实你相信的那个不一定美好，但是，你相信那个事情，可能你会觉得它是一个特别美好的事情哈，但是真理不一定是，真理就是真理，真理可能真理是这样，但是你不一定相信它。老师大概是这个意思哈，刚才听的同学是不是？老师是不是这个意思？
Of course, there's also examples where kind of belief or faith works. For example, in the case of a medicine, sometimes it helps to just believe that this glass of water that you drink is actually medicine. You probably know that it's called placebo effect. So faith can also sometimes turn into a truth. If you believe it's medicine, it actually turns into medicine. And if you don't believe it, it's just water. But most of the time, I think it's better to actually focus on truth rather than just, well, suppose maybe this is true or maybe that is true.
然后从另外一个角度，其实有的时候你相信，比如它不是真的，不是真理，不是真的一个事情，但是你相信它可能就会变成真的。你像就是比如说只是一杯水，但是有人告诉你它是解药，它是一个可以帮助你的一个神药，你真的相信它的时候，可能一杯水就会变成神药。这也是另外一个角度啊。但是更多的时候，其实是我们是站到一个另外一个角度，就是刚才老师说第一个角度相反的一个角度来说的。但是大部分其实我们是你觉得好的事情，但是真理其实不是那么好。绝大部分时间，绝大部分的时候是那个情况，但是也有一种情况是你本来事实不是这样的，但是你因为相信它，它就变成事实了，也会有这种情况啊。And there's another question,
Yes,
Chinese question, my student. He said, so after 40, my student, after 40, do I need to still work hard? Like we have parents, we have family, we children work. And how to we management the life after 40? And what is the meaning? I think what she want to ask. What's the meaning of life for experience or for what? And I think maybe she has pressure of her life.
Yeah, most of us probably we want some kind of meaning in our lives. Maybe when we're young, we just want to enjoy life. Then we want to be successful. We want to have some kind of mission. Maybe we want to do something for humanity, or if not for humanity, we want to have kids so that the family can continue, stuff like that. But for me personally, I arrived at the conclusion that life has no meaning. Life has no meaning. But that's, for me, it's a great liberation. Because if things have a meaning, you always have to ask yourself, well, am I living up to that? Or you're always living today, not for today, but for that meaning. You do your homework for tomorrow's school, for the teachers. You work so that at the end of the month you get a paycheck. And maybe even with Zen, you meditate in the hope of getting enlightenment. But if you do that, you're never really here in this moment. You always do things for something else. So if you live, for example, for the family, for your children, that also becomes a burden for you. You don't have to live, but you can live. You can live. You can live. And you actually have all options that are. You don't have to do this or that. There is no meaning. There is no thing that you have to do. You're completely free to walk in any direction you want. You can also, like Shakyamuni, leave your spouse and your children behind and leave the palace and sit under a tree. That's also one way. And Shakyamuni, a lot of people in Japan and also in China probably said Shakyamuni was irresponsible. He could have saved the country of his parents. He could have become the king. And he left his family and meditated under a tree. But he kind of started what we are studying now. He started Buddhism. So if it was okay for Shakyamuni, even that is an option. You don't have to do it. I myself, after I became the abbot of Antaiji, I married and I have kids. So that's also a way. But you don't have to. You don't have to do anything. But you can do everything you want. If it's okay for you, or if you want to do that, if you feel that's my life. That's at least the conclusion that I arrived.
琳娜大概知道啥意思吗？老师就说，其实，因为老师从小他就已经意识到，其实生活是没有意义的。因为老师的母亲在7岁就过世了，在老师7岁的时候，他母亲就过世，然后他其实就很小的时候就已经开始反思了，就是我们活着学习到底是为了什么？有一天你都会离开这世界。其实他小的时候就已经明白了，人生是没有什么意义的。但是这是他意识到了，但是我们其实更多的人可能不是这样。当然你会有你的想法，就是想追求什么意义哈？其实老师说，我们不要为了意义而活，因为当你为了意义而活的时候，你可能没有活今天，你可能失去了今天，而得到了追求一个你好像你追求了一个自己一个没有的意义，因为意义总是在前面，而今天是在现在，所以你可能为了意义而活而丢了今天。所以老师刚才有一句话就是不要为了意义而活，要为了今天而活着。你看，就好像你没有什么事情是你一定要做、必须得做、完全得做的。当我们有了小孩之后呢，其实你也同时也是自己又重新给了自己一次生命。你像，我们每个人都是很自由的，你是自由的，你可以做任何事情，不要为了所谓的意义而做一些你必须要做的事情。其实你什么都不用做。就好像释迦牟尼哈，你看他是一个王子，对吧？然后他那么尊贵，但是他放弃了他的财富，然后他变得很自由，他坐在树下面开始打坐。然后我们现在就是在研究释迦牟尼的佛经佛法嘛，所以你看，从他的自由开始，他放弃了所谓的意义，而活出了他自己想要的样子，活出他当时想要的样子。其实我们也是这样的，就是不要为了意义而活着。没有什么事情是因为意义是看不见的。当你去追求意义的时候，其实是失去了今天。就老师大概其实是这个意思啊，他还举了几个例子，就是大概其实是这个意思啊。
There's another question in the chat function. We can't let go by wanting or willing to let go, but in returning to the body or in all of the instructions given thus far, there seems to be the implicit understanding that being involved in thoughts is not right. Why is it so? Can't being involved in certain kinds of thoughts be a good thing? Well, it's not the point that thinking is not right or that it's bad. It's not about good or bad. It's just that when you're in your thoughts, you're not in the reality of the here and now. You might be, well, thinking about the here and now. You might be thinking about yesterday or tomorrow. That's also necessary. We have to make plans for tomorrow. Before you write an email, you have to think about what you want to write, stuff like that. It's just that, for example, you drink a cup of coffee and you think about that email that you got yesterday. In that moment, you don't taste the coffee in the same way as if you just taste the coffee. It has a different taste, a different intensity. And it would be a waste of our life if from morning to night you're always thinking, you're always living in the yesterday and in the tomorrow, but you're never really living in this moment. And that happens actually a lot of times. It's not good or bad. If it's okay for you, it's okay. You don't hurt anybody. It's just that you're losing this moment. You're losing moment by moment because your mind is always somewhere else. That's why Dogen, or that's why I say during Zazen for 30 minutes, if you have the time, get back into this moment. Return to the now. And of course, you can't do that the whole day. You have to think about what happened yesterday and you have to make plans for tomorrow. But the nice thing of Zazen is for 30 minutes, you don't have to do anything. Just be here in this moment. Not because it's good or because it's right, but because, well, that's what makes life worth living. If you lose that moment, you have, well, nothing. Okay, anything else that you would like to ask or share? If not, next week I want to return to Sawaki Kodo Roshi's sayings, to you. And, well, thank you for joining this time. I talked a long time, so sorry to Shwan-san. Thank you for translating. Thank you for hosting us. And if you like, see you again next week. Same time, same space. Have a nice week. Thank you. Goodbye.